If life were a cruel joke, I must have been the punchline. First, I dreamed of him night after night, a man I'd never met, standing too close, whispering words I couldn't remember when I woke. Then one morning, he was there in the flesh, leaning against the coffee shop counter like he belonged to my world all along. It should have been impossible. But America is full of impossible things: haunted highways, diners where time feels stuck in the 70s, men who make your heart stop with one glance. And somehow, he was one of them. I lived in a small town in Oregon, a place where people knew what you had for breakfast before you finished chewing it. I wasn't used to strangers, especially not ones who looked like trouble wrapped in a button-up shirt and a half-cocked smile. He called himself Adrian, said he was a journalist just passing through. But every time his eyes met mine, it felt like he already knew me, like the dreams hadn't been dreams at all but previews of a story I hadn't agreed to star in. "Funny seeing you here," he said the first time we spoke, as though running into me was inevitable. I laughed nervously, clutching my coffee cup. "You make it sound like we've met before." His smile didn't falter. "Maybe we have." That was how it began. An ordinary morning turned into something I couldn't escape. The strange thing was, he wasn't like anyone else I'd known. He was sharper, like a blade that could cut if I got too close. But then he'd say something so gentle it disarmed me completely, leaving me exposed in ways I didn't want to admit. He asked questions, not just the kind journalists ask, but the kind that peel back your skin, strip you bare. And I found myself answering them, even when I didn't want to. Some nights, I dreamed of him again. The dreams were always the same. A dark road, headlights sweeping across empty fields, and him, standing at the edge of the light, waiting. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my chest aching as if I'd been running toward Heimer away. Still, I couldn't keep away. Adrian lingered in town longer than any journalist should. He wrote in the corner of the diner, sipping black coffee that went cold before he touched it again. He walked the streets as if memorizing every detail. And somehow, he always ended up where I was. "You ever think some people are meant to meet?" he asked me one evening as we stood outside the library, the sky bleeding into shades of violet and gold. I hesitated, my throat tight. "Meant to or forced to?" He chuckled, low and rough. "Maybe both." Something in his voice made me shiver, like I was standing at the edge of a cliff and he was daring me to jump. The town noticed, of course. Small towns always notice. People whispered about the new journalist and how he was always seen with me. My mother asked if I'd made a new friend. I didn't know what to call him. Adrian was too much for friend, too dangerous for stranger, and too unreal for anything else. One night, after a week of restless dreams, I confronted him. "Why do I keep seeing you?" I demanded. "Not just here, but in my sleep. You're in my head before I even knew your name." Adrian's eyes softened, but there was something guarded behind them, like a secret he wasn't ready to share. "Maybe I'm just a reflection of something you're trying to find." That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I should have walked away. Instead, I stayed. We grew closer in the strangest ways, sharing silence more than words, sitting side by side in the library as rain tapped against the windows, walking down empty roads where the only sound was our footsteps. He touched me once, just a brush of his hand against mine, but it felt like lightning splitting me open. And yet, there was a heaviness to him, like he carried something that didn't belong to me but would destroy me if I got too close. One evening, when the autumn air bit sharper than usual, he leaned in and whispered, "You don't know everything about me, and if you did, you might hate me." I swallowed hard, my chest tightening. "Try me." He stared at me then, eyes dark and burning, like he was deciding whether to ruin me or save me. The truth didn't come that night, but I felt it in the way he kissed men desperate, not hungry, but almost mournful, like he'd waited lifetimes for something that could never last. And maybe that was the real danger. I wasn't sure if Adrian had come into my life to heal me or to break me. The night the truth finally came out, the town was swallowed by fog. It curled around the houses and blurred the streetlights into pale orbs, the kind of weather that made silence feel heavier. Adrian called me, his voice urgent, asking to meet at the old train station just outside town. Something in me knew it was a turning point. My chest was tight the whole walk there, my breath visible in the cold air. When I arrived, he was already waiting, leaning against a rusted pillar, the shadows cutting across his face. "You shouldn't have come," he said, but his voice cracked, betraying him. "Then why did you call me?" I demanded. He hesitated, then finally let the words spill. "Because I can't keep lying to you. I didn't come here for a story. I came here for you." The world tilted. My throat went dry. "For me?" He nodded, stepping closer. His eyes glimmered in the dim light. "I've seen you before. Not just in dreams years ago. A different town, a different life. You don't remember, but I do. You were the only good thing I ever had, and when I lost you, it broke me. So when I found this town, when I saw you again alive, really couldn't stay away. The ground might as well have opened beneath me." His words felt impossible, and yet my bones recognized them. A strange warmth rose in my chest, a flicker of memory I couldn't place. His hand reached for mine, trembling. "I don't care if you think I'm crazy," he whispered, "but every night I dreamed of you, and every morning I woke up wishing you were real. And now you are." I pulled my hand back, heart racing. "Do you hear yourself, Adrian? This is insane. You're telling me I'm some ghost from your past." He flinched but didn't let go of my gaze. "You can call it whatever you want. Fate, madness. All I know is I've crossed too many miles, carried too many scars, just to stand here in front of you again. And if you push me away, I don't know if I'll survive it this time." The rawness in his voice carved through me. I wanted to hate him for dragging me into this storm, for making me question reality itself. But hate wasn't what burned in my chest. It was longing, terrifying, consuming longing. I closed the distance between us before I could think better of it. My lips crashed into his, a kiss that was messy and desperate. Not mournful this time, but defiant, like we were daring the universe to tear us apart again. His arms wrapped around me, and for the first time, I didn't dream him into existence. He was here, solid, real. But love never comes without consequence. The following weeks were a blur of half-truths and hidden glances. We kept each other close, but Adrian was still haunted, always looking over his shoulder, always scribbling in his notebook as if time was running out. He told me pieces of his story, that he had uncovered something dangerous as a journalist, something that made powerful people want him gone. That maybe he hadn't just stumbled into my town by chance, but because it was the only place left to hide. Danger became the shadow between us. One night, the shadow turned real. A black SUV parked outside my house, men inside watching. Adrian saw them first. His face went pale, and for the first time, I saw fear eat away at his usual calm. "We have to go," he said, voice shaking. So we did. We packed nothing, running into the night like fugitives. The small Oregon roads stretched endlessly, headlights carving tunnels through the dark. I kept glancing at him, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ached. "This is insane," I whispered. "We're not in one of your stories, Adrian. We can't just run forever." He reached over, his hand finding mine. "Then don't run from me. Whatever happens, don't do that." That night, somewhere between exhaustion and adrenaline, I realized what terrified me most wasn't the SUV or the faceless men chasing him. It was the thought of losing him again. We hid in a cabin by the coast for a while, where the ocean roared like it carried all our secrets. Days blurred into each other. Sometimes we laughed, sometimes we fought, sometimes we lay tangled together, silent except for the rhythm of our hearts. It should have been unbearable, living on the edge like that. But it was also the first time I understood what it meant to belong to someone, not just in dreams, but in every waking moment. And still, the storm came. The night they found us, Adrian shoved me behind him, his voice low and fierce. "Stay down." I refused. "Not without you. We weren't heroes. We didn't fight back with weapons or glory. We just ran, stumbled, clawed our way through the night until the sound of the ocean drowned out the shouts behind us. We collapsed on the beach, gasping, our clothes wet from the spray. Adrian turned to me, tears mixing with salt water. I can't keep putting you in danger. If staying with me means you'll die, I'll leave right now. I grabbed his face in my hands, forcing him to look at me. You idiot. Don't you get it? I'd rather face hell with you than heaven without you. Something broke inside him then, not the hard, guarded shell he carried, but the fear that had kept him running. He kissed me like he finally believed we could survive this. And somehow we did. The men chasing him didn't find us again. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was mercy. Or maybe, as Adrian liked to say later, fate had finally stopped punishing us. Months passed. The SUV never returned. Adrian stopped checking over his shoulder. Slowly, he began to smile more, to sleep through the night without waking drenched in sweat. The dreams that once haunted me faded, replaced by mornings where I'd wake to find him beside me, messy-haired and breathing softly, like any ordinary man. One quiet evening, as the sun dipped into the Pacific and painted the sky with fire, Adrian leaned against me on the porch of the cabin. He set his notebook aside, finally closing it for good. You know, he murmured, I used to think stories were what saved me, but it wasn't the stories. It was you. I rested my head against his. Then maybe it was both. Maybe we were just characters who finally got the ending they deserved. He chuckled softly, kissed my temple, and whispered, Then let's make it last. And for once, I believed him. Because sometimes love isn't about rewriting the past or escaping the dangers that chase you. Sometimes love is simply choosing again and again to stand side by side, even when the world tries to tear you apart. That night, with the ocean singing below us and the stars rising above, I realized something. He wasn't just the man in my dreams anymore. He was the man I got to wake up to, and that finally was enough. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.